To you by Vamped Motors, the only authorized Ford and Toyota dealership serving the Cayman Islands. K-Man Pharmacy Group, with a location in West Bay and professional pharmacy at CTMH Doctors Hospital. The K-Man Pharmacy Group has a location for you just around the corner. Seaboard Marine, with over 35 shipping ports, find your shipping solution by calling 949-4977 or visit seaboardmarine.com for competitive rates. Rotary Central, for more than 110 years, Rotary members have used their passion, energy, and intelligence to take action on sustainable projects. Fidelity Bank, for all your banking needs, visit fidelitygroup.com. Fidelity, we're good for you. And Roper's Janitorial, complete janitorial service for commercial, industrial, and residential. They get the job done right every time.
This is For the Record with Orrett Connor.
Coming to you live from Radio Cayman Studio.
For the record.
For the record. For the record. Hear from your government officials, independents, and the opposition on issues that matter to you. For the record. Engage in an open dialogue between residents and lawmakers.
For the record.
For the record. For the record. Informative, impartial, insightful.
This is your talk show.
1-800-534-8255. Your calls, your input. This is For the Record. And now, your host, Orrett Connor.
Good morning and welcome to For the Record. Today is Monday, the 28th day of October 2019. I trust that everyone had an enjoyable, restful, peaceful weekend. You enjoyed the rain that we received on the weekend as well. Certainly needed that. Keep those vegetation nice and green. For those of you who are on the roads of the Cayman Islands, we urge you to be extremely cautious. Please ensure that you observe the rules of the road and remember the life you save may be your own. The traffic on the roads of the Cayman Islands will be extremely busy again this morning. School is back in. All of the schools are back in now, so you will see more traffic on the roads of the Cayman Islands. You will have police officers out there directing traffic as well. Please ensure that you obey their instructions. That will help to move traffic along much smoother as well. We also want to remind you, ensure that you stay off the phones when you're driving on the roads as well. You want to avoid any accidents on the road. One was, we had a fender bender earlier this morning around about 6:45 on the Hurley's Grand Harbor roundabout. We hope and trust that that has been cleared up now and traffic is moving as smoothly as possible. Folks, I want to thank you for allowing Radio Cayman and by extension For the Record into your homes, into your vehicles as you traverse the busy roads of the Cayman Islands, into your places of work, whether it be an office cubicle or if you're working in the outdoors. As you know, For the Record is a show produced by the staff and management, and it is geared towards keeping you abreast of issues as they rise and play out on the local, regional, and international scene. I'm your host, Orrett Connor, and you're welcome to join me every Monday, Wednesday, and Friday from 7:30 a.m. until 10 a.m. Our phone lines are always open. There is always someone there waiting to take your calls. This morning, again, it is that beautiful radio voice of Miss Susan Watson. You can call us on our toll-free number provided courtesy of Flo. That toll-free number is 1-800-534-8255. You can also call us on 949-8037 and 949-6990. If you don't like to talk on the telephone, email us at fortherecord. That is one word, fortherecord, at candw.ky. WhatsApp us on 925-3261, where we encourage you to send us a text message or leave us a voice note, the contents of which will be played during the course of the show. And of course, you can follow us on YouTube simply by subscribing to Radio Cayman live stream. This morning on the first segment of the show, we're going to be receiving an update on the situation with dengue fever here in the Cayman Islands. And here to engage us in that update and that discussion, we have Dr. Samuel Williams Rodriguez, who's the acting medical officer of health. Also with us is Dr. Jim McNeely, who is the director at the MRCU. Also with us, Mr. Tim McLaughlin Monroe, who is the Senior Public Health Service Officer here in the Cayman Islands. Did I get that right? Surveillance. Right, yeah. Let's go over Mr. McLaughlin Monroe's title again. Mr. Tim McLaughlin Monroe, Senior Public Service Surveillance Officer here in the Cayman Islands. That sounds like some sort of a CIA job or something like that. Does not, Mr. Tim?
Sometimes it entails that kind of details, yeah.
Okay, so we are going to receive an update on the situation here in the Cayman Islands as far as dengue is concerned. And let's start with Dr. Samuel Williams Rodriguez. Good morning, doctor. Welcome to For the Record.
Morning. Thank you for having us here. I need to apologize first. My voice a little bit out. But first, I think by now most of the public in the Cayman Islands are aware that we are actually having an outbreak of dengue disease here on the island. We normally have cases here on the island over the years. The difference now compared to last year and the year before is that we actually have some cases that local transmission. So we have cases of dengue here of patients without a travel history. Mm-hmm. That makes a big difference for us because normally we'll expect to have dengue here. We have a lot of traveling here in the Cayman Island to countries in the region who are endemic for dengue, and we do have the vector, the mosquito here on island. So we do expect to have some imported cases here. Once we get a local transmission now, we need to then start to do a lot more than what we normally do for mosquito control, and that's in the stage that we are now. I think for the public and part of the public who may not be aware what is dengue, I think we should start by just giving a little introduction to the disease. So dengue is a viral illness that is transmitted by a mosquito, the Aedes aegypti mosquito, and they have 4 different serotypes of dengue, type 1, type 2, 3, and 4. The Caribbean region have having outbreaks already in the past of type 1 and 2. So a lot of people are actually immune. Once you get 1 or 2 or infected with one of these viruses, you develop immunity for life for this specific virus. The problem is that you don't develop immunity for the rest of the serotype. And if you get infected by one of those serotypes after you have been infected already, then you are higher risk of complications. The symptoms of the disease are kind of similar to most viral illness. The difference is a very high fever. Mm-hmm. When you compare it to like Zika and chikungunya, the fever is lower, especially in Zika. But the fever in dengue is usually a very high fever, severe headache, severe pain behind the eyes, joint pain, muscle pain. You could have a rash, and there could be some bleeding too, and some complications. It's important.
That's internal bleeding?
Internal. It could be external bleeding as well.
Oh, okay.
External bleeding as well. The one symptom that was seen a lot when Jamaica had an outbreak last year, at the end of last year, was abdominal pain. And it's actually, there were some new guidelines to send to physicians. We did send to all the physicians here in the Cayman Island just to look for abdominal pain. It's not a common sign in dengue, but it's a sign that it may be complications. So any patient with symptoms suggestive of dengue and start developing abdominal pain, I suggest that we should refer this patient to the emergency department at the HSA to deal with this patient because it may be a complication associated with dengue.
Okay. What can we attribute to, if there is an increase in the incidence of dengue in the Cayman Islands, what can we attribute that to? You've pointed out that there are cases now where they have been contracted locally as opposed to persons who travel overseas. Anything in particular that we can point to?
Well, there is an outbreak in the region.
Yes.
And in, I think it was 2012, we had actually an outbreak in Cayman Island. We have 37 cases, if I'm correct, and 25 of those were local cases. Once there is a case here on the island, there's a higher risk. I know Dr. McNally will talk more about the mosquito situation and everything like that, but we do have the vector, and we just need in a specific area for a sick person to be there and be bitten by a mosquito, and then the transmission started. And that what happened this time. The number of cases that we have, and Tim will talk a little bit more about the number of cases, it's a lot less than we will have in 2012. Okay. We are confident, I'm very confident that we will be able to control this outbreak like we have done in the past with dengue and Zika and chikungunya. I'm very confident of that. So it's not a reason for us to alarm, but it's definitely for us to work hard and control.
Go ahead, Doc. Sorry.
Yes. So that, like I said, Dr. McNally from the director of MRCU will give a more detailed explanation of the mosquito. But we do have the vector. We do have a lot of people traveling in and out of the Cayman Island to areas that are actually are endemic for us for dengue and are having our outbreak now. So it was just a matter of time that we got local cases here. It's something that I can say that in 2017 and 2018, we were probably just lucky that we didn't get it. It's not the work that the Mosquito Research and Control Unit does every year is great. Our surveillance is the same week after week. So now, of course, we're doing a lot more because we have more cases that we need to investigate. But we do have surveillance on this disease, and we test for this disease every single week, and we report to international organizations weekly on our cases. So our surveillance system is very good, and the control from MRCU, which we will get more detail from Dr. Manelli, is very, very good.
Okay, we're going to take a commercial break now. When we return, one of the questions that we have has to do with whether or not a person can be immunized from the disease. And then we'll talk about surveillance, and we'll talk about MRCU, what is being done in that regard as well. Folks, please stay tuned for the record. We'll be back immediately after this short commercial break.
The Cayman Islands boasts of a long, colorful, and rich history. In tribute to our roots, Radio Cayman, the voice of the Cayman Islands, is pleased to bring you the Historical Vignette Series, sponsored by Cayman National Bank. Visit Cayman National Bank today for all of your financial needs. The Cayman Islands, he hath founded it upon the seas.
World War II left little of the world untouched by the chaos, and the Cayman Islands were no different. It is estimated that 1,000 Caymanian men, or 2/3 of the adult male population, was in active service during World War II. Although there were significant effects at home by the absence of this high number of men, those serving abroad were able to acquire new skills and to send home money to their families. Although the Cayman Islands were never a direct target of the enemy, the Americans did set up a small base in Georgetown between 1942 until 1945. In May 1942, the German U-boat campaign brushed our shores when it torpedoed the United Fruit Company's steamer, the Cayamagua. Captain Eugene Thompson of the Simboco was ordered by Commissioner Jones to rescue the survivors.
Radio Cayman's Historical Facts Vignettes are proudly brought to you by Cayman National, with branches on all 3 Cayman Islands. Visit Cayman National Bank today for all of your financial needs.
When you need stability, think Business of the Year.
Considering a new career opportunity, think Best Place to Work.
When dependability matters, think Outstanding Workforce.
In need of a reliable financial partner, think Bank of the Year.
When you seek excellence, think Cayman National.
No matter how many accomplishments we achieve, we always set the bar higher. That's why we are the most awarded bank in Cayman, and we are proud to be your
2018 Bank of the Year.
Sometimes things just don't go as planned. That's why you need Contractors All Risk Insurance from Fidelity Insurance Brokers. Ensure you're covered in the event of property damage and third-party injury or damage claims during your construction projects. And with Fidelity Insurance Brokers, you can be sure you are getting competitive pricing and superior customer service. Call us today for a free quote. Fidelity, we're good for you.
It was a day that changed my life. No words can describe the feelings of seeing my baby boy sick for the first time. The overwhelming feeling of fear to be responsible for his health and happiness became my priority. So I did what any nurturing mother would do when their baby is sick. I took him to get some of the best medicine possible.
CTMH Doctors Hospital Pharmacy understands the importance of careful decisions you make every day for your family. Our staff work towards healthcare excellence and providing the most current and up-to-date training with pharmaceutical care, so you can feel confident in knowing that your family is safe with the right medication. At CTMH Doctors Hospital Pharmacy, we take care of your health.
Congratulations, I hear the family is expanding.
Yes, our family is growing bigger, but I don't know how we're going to get around. Our old car just doesn't have enough room.
You should head over to VAT Motors and ask about the Toyota Rush. It's a 7-seater SUV with lots of room and safety features, and it's on sale for just $21,900.
Rush in to VAT Motors for the best deal of the year on the Toyota Rush SUV. Save up to $2,600 with VAT cashback and the Toyota factory rebate going on right now. Fuel efficient, stylish, roomy, and loaded with safety features. The Rush is the perfect SUV for you and your family, starting from just $21,900. Visit VAT Motors and drive your deal home today while stock lasts.
Saturday, November 30, just before Christmas. You, yes, you can be the grand prize winner of $40,000 with your Rotary Central Music Extravaganza ticket purchase of only $25. Win that grand prize of $40,000. Second prize of $4,000, 6 $1,000 prizes, and more. Yes, Saturday, November 30, the 24th Rotary Central Music Extravaganza, Royal Palms, West Bay Road from 7 p.m. Music by Sugar Daddy, C&B, Leslie Duran, and Trio Caribe. Get your golden tickets now on sale through Rotary Central members, Rotary ticket sellers, and eventpro.ky. Every ticket funds a cause. Rotary Central, 50 community projects over 33 years. Your ticket can be the winner. Your ticket, your chance, your community. Rotary, connecting the world.
System 1 loaded.
1-800-534-8255. What is on your mind when it comes to the government, independence, and the opposition? Issues that matter to you. 1-800-534-8255. Waiting to hear from you. For the Record.
This is For the Record with Orrett Connor.
Good morning and welcome back to For the Record. It is my pleasure to have in the studio with me this morning Dr. Samuel Williams Rodriguez, who's the Acting Medical Officer for Health here in the Cayman Islands. Also with us, Dr. Jim McNeely, who's the Director at the MRCU, and Mr. Tim McLaughlin Monroe, who's the Senior Public Health Surveillance Officer here in the Cayman Islands, and we're discussing the situation and receiving an update on dengue here in the Cayman Islands. Before we went to our commercial break, we had a question in relation to whether or not a person can be immunized against the dengue disease. And also, there's a second question in relation to larvae in the swamps. So I'll have Dr. Williams first speak about the immunization question, and then Dr. McNeely in relation to the larvae.
Okay, thank you, and thank you for the question. It's a good question. There are two types of immunization that we can get. It's active immunization is when we get the disease. And like I said earlier, yes, if we get the disease, we will be immune to that specific serotype. Now, I think that the caller is referring to a vaccination, which is a passive immunization. And unfortunately, there is not a vaccine yet that has been approved to be used worldwide. Mm-hmm. They are working on it. They have been working for many years in a vaccine for dengue. And right now, there is a vaccine that is licensed in many countries in Latin America and in Europe, and also in the United States, but only to use in patients who have had dengue before, and they are an endemic area and a risk for get infected with a second serotype, and then a higher risk of complication. So this vaccine can be used. It's not the case in the Cayman Islands. We're not endemic for dengue. So, and also this vaccine has not yet been promoted by the World Health Organization and the Pan American Health Organization. We normally follow their guidelines. Okay. So it's not something that we have here on island. It's important though to know that out of the 4 diseases that can be transmitted from the mosquito Aedes aegypti, which is dengue, Zika, chikungunya, and yellow fever, there's only one vaccine is for yellow fever. It's very effective. We have it here in the Cayman Island. We have never have, it's a never, but we haven't had a case of yellow fever in the Cayman Island for many, many, many years, not imported or local. But there are cases of yellow fever in the region, Brazil and Venezuela, some other countries in the region. So I will advise if anyone from here is traveling to one of these countries to contact the public health department, the travel health clinic in the public health department, and get advice. Likely, probably, you will be able to get the yellow fever vaccine, which is very effective vaccine. I will anticipate that the dengue vaccine should be in the market soon, because like I said, there is a vaccine that is approved and used in some countries in Latin America and even in the US, but for a specific set of the population.
Okay, thank you very much for that. Dr. McNeely?
Yes, good morning.
Good morning. Welcome to For the Record.
Well, thank you. Thank you for inviting me.
The question in relation to the larvae in the swamps, in the water, yeah.
So yes, we're focused on all of the mosquitoes that we have here in the Cayman Islands, and we have 24 different types of mosquitoes across the 3 islands. Maybe 10 to 12 of those are important from a nuisance aspect, and 3 to 4 from a disease point of view. So yes, we're going after the mosquitoes in the swamps, but they aren't the mosquitoes that are involved in dengue transmission.
Okay.
So those mosquitoes are the mosquitoes that make you run into the house just after sunset for the most part. I'm sorry, we try to keep them down so you don't have to run into your house. But those mosquitoes are not involved in disease transmission. The mosquitoes that are involved in disease transmission, Aedes aegypti and Aedes albopictus to a lesser extent, have adapted over time to living in containers right around your home. So they will be produced in a bucket, a tire, a wheelbarrow that's holding water, something as small as a bottle cap, or the little bit of water that will lay on top of a plastic bag. A week later, they will fly away and seek a blood meal. And them being right in and around your residence, they're apt to come into your home and bite you, take a blood meal while you're sleeping, go back outside, lay their eggs, and the whole cycle starts over again.
Can you repeat that for our audience? Because I think people need to know exactly how that cycle works. Yeah.
Well, basically, mosquitoes go through 4 stages. It's referred to as complete metamorphosis. They're laid as an egg, either singly or in a raft of 100 or more eggs. Excuse me. They then go into a larval stage, and there are 4 different size changes within the larval stage. That's a feeding stage, so they're feeding on all the little bits of things that are in the water, in that bucket or that tire. Then they go into a pupal stage, which is a little bit like what a caterpillar would do in a cocoon, except this is a moving cocoon. They will tumble in the water, and a day or 2 later, the adult mosquito emerges from that pupal case and flies away. So that whole development between the egg and the adult stage takes roughly a week, and your mosquito lives on average about 2 weeks. So again, any container, and that's our problem, not just in the Cayman Islands, but worldwide. It's just the number of man-made containers now that have the ability to hold water and that this mosquito can access is a really bad situation. So as you drive around the island and see all the refuse in lots or by the side of the road, all of those have the potential to be producing Aedes aegypti.
Okay. Mr. CIA Surveillance, we'd like to hear from you before we go to our 8 o'clock news in terms of your role.
All right. Thank you very much, too, for having us. As I mentioned before, part of the reason we're here is to educate and to empower the public and to alleviate fears and concerns. And my job is behind the scenes. We investigate every suspected case of dengue. This is just one disease that we look at on a weekly basis. So we have an ongoing surveillance system dealing with health. And so what we do is, as we get a suspected case, we investigate it by calling up the person or relative to get information. We verify home address, the illness, actually the symptoms, because that is important. reason why we get the home address and where they work and their occupation is so that we can forward that information to MRCU. We've learned a long time ago that it's a complex team, but we need to communicate and we need to work together, and that's how we've been able to eradicate the disease. As mentioned already, Cayman Islands is not endemic for any mosquito-borne diseases, so and we want to keep it that way. So I will pass on just the relevant information to MRCU, and then they will in turn enhance their already robust mosquito eradication program in and around the residence, and also a quarter outside of that residence. So that's how we are able to break the transmission should it comes back positive. We know that we've already went in, would have already killed all the adult mosquitoes that could have transmitted or keep up the transmission.
Okay. We're going to go to our 8 o'clock news. When we return, we want to continue the discussion. We want to talk about the role that medical doctors who are either in private practice or otherwise, the role that they play in alerting the relevant authorities to any cases, as well what the public can do to assist in this venture as well, because we all can play a role as well. So please stay tuned. For the record, we'll be back immediately after the 8 o'clock news.
Thank you, Mr. Connor. And studio time now by Price Right is 7:59.
Price Right is Grand Cayman's warehouse shopping superstore, making your dollar go further with huge savings and no membership fees. Get more of the things you use every day at the right price. But it's not just grocery and health and beauty. Price Right has a full range of products from office to automotive, patio furnishings to kitchen appliances, and even electronics. And since warehouse prices mean savings for you, everything is priced right at Price Right, Grand Cayman's warehouse shopping superstore.
The voice of the Cayman Islands.
89.9 FM in Grand Cayman and 93.9 FM in Cayman Brac and Little Cayman.
Silver wings shining in the sunlight.
Radio Cayman.
The 8 a.m. news is brought to you by Sagicor. Let us put a smile on your face. Call 949-8211.
Your voice, your choice for today's biggest news.
Radio Cayman, the voice of the Cayman Island.
With your latest news, I'm Carsley Fuller. Lawmakers head to Legislative Assembly this morning to debate the first People's-initiated referendum bill relating to the Cruise Port project. This comes after a spicy exchange over the weekend between project opponent CPR Cayman and Premier the Honorable Alden McLaughlin. CPR Cayman has taken legal advice and released a statement over the weekend that Broadhurst attorneys at law sent a letter to government, quote, expressing concerns, along with a legal opinion of a constitutional law specialist in advance of the debate today. CPR Cayman says it wanted to check the lawfulness of several things, including A, the referendum question, B, the date of the referendum, C, the exclusion of campaign financing, D, the exclusion of Section 91 of the Elections Law, which would otherwise ban the sale of intoxicating liquor on referendum day, and E, the Premier's comment suggesting that abstaining from voting indicates support for the port project. But Premier the Honorable Alden McLaughlin says government has already taken legal advice and his administration is, quote, more than satisfied that the process being followed is fair and proper in every respect. His statement, also issued over the weekend, goes on to say, quote, CPR is not really interested in holding a referendum, presumably because they think they will likely lose, but are simply intent on derailing the cruise port cargo project by any means possible, including frustrating it by delay. Mr. McLaughlin says the government will not allow that to occur, intending to provide the country with a referendum, quote, that is fair to all sides. In other news, the Public Health Department and the Mosquito Research and Control Unit are offering tips to help fight dengue. Radio Cayman's April Cummings has more.
Public health officials say preventing dengue is as simple as preventing bites from the Aedes aegypti mosquito. So how do you do that? Well, for one thing, get rid of standing water in containers around your home. Even a bottle cap filled with water can become a breeding site for mosquitoes. Avoid going outside at times of Aedes aegypti activity and wear long-sleeve shirts and long pants when possible. You should also wear an EPA-registered mosquito repellent. Another tip, be sure to keep your windows and doors closed or screened when possible, because Aedes aegypti love being inside. And finally, avoid areas with standing water, especially at times of high mosquito activity like dawn and dusk, because standing water is a breeding mosquito's best friend. April Cummings, Radio Cayman News.
If you'd like more information, you can call the Mosquito Research and Control Unit or your local public health department. Now with a check of international news, here's the BBC, which will take us out of the newscast. I'm Carsley Fuller from Radio Cayman's newsroom.
BBC News with Jerry Smith. The European Council President Donald Tusk has confirmed that the EU will grant Britain a Brexit extension until the end of January. EU ambassadors are meeting in Brussels to finalise the details. 14 hostages have been freed in Myanmar, but a number of others were killed in a rescue operation launched by the army. They were part of a group of more than 50 hostages taken by a militant group, the Arakan Army, in the state of Rakhine on Saturday. Amnesty International and Human Rights Watch have released reports on what they call the dire state of the media in Tanzania. They say new laws have led to the arrest of journalists and the closure of newspapers and radio stations. Anti-government protesters in Lebanon have been blocking streets on what is the 12th consecutive day of demonstrations. The protests have been fuelled by anger at corruption, the lack of jobs and poor public services. Iraqi security forces are reported to have fired tear gas at school and university students who've joined anti-government protests in Baghdad. Dozens of demonstrators have died in clashes with the security forces that began on Friday. Alberto Fernandez, Argentina's left-wing president-elect, has promised to build a more equal country after his election win on Sunday. He told supporters that the result meant the government had been returned to the hands of the people. The world's largest luxury goods group, LVMH, has made a bid to take over the New York-based jewellers Tiffany's, valuing it at more than $14 billion. Tiffany's hasn't yet responded to the offer. The Russian dissident Vladimir Bukovsky, who exposed the Soviet-era practice of committing activists to psychiatric hospitals, has died in Britain at the age of 76. The Soviet authorities held institutions for 12 years in the 1960s. BBC News.
The 8 a.m. news is brought to you by Sagicor. Let us put a smile on your face. Call 949-8211.
Think about something that makes you happy. Did it make you smile? We know it did, because that's what we do at Sagicor. Put smiles on our clients' faces every day. With a large range of products to cover your family, it's no wonder most locals choose Sagicor for their life insurance needs. Serving the community for over 25 years. Let us put a smile on your face. Call your Sagicor advisor today.
Stay in touch with Radio Cayman for the latest in news and information.
Follow Radio Cayman on social media, Facebook, Instagram, Twitter. Download the Radio Cayman app or log on to our website, www.radiocayman.gov.ky.
Radio Cayman, your voice, your choice, your radio.
Can you imagine where Cayman runs off renewable energy? We can. Learn how you can join government and be an energy advocate.
Visit the Ministry of Commerce, Planning and Infrastructure's Facebook page to learn more.
The Weather Report is proudly sponsored by Super Stitch Sewing and Fabric Center, your one-stop household store at 39 Pasador Place, Smith Road. Still offering the best prices in town. Call 949-2833 or go to superstitch.com.ky.
Thinking of decorating your home or your apartment? Then Super Stitch is the place for all your household needs. We have sheets, comforters, bathroom accessories, curtains, and a whole lot more. We are the original curtain store with curtains for every room in the house. Some special now-in curtains for $10 a panel. Yes, just $10 a panel. Come see us today at Super Stitch. Super Stitch, your one-stop household store at 39 Pasadora Place, Smith Road. Still offering the best prices in town. Call 949-2833 or go to superstitch.com.ky.
Good morning. Time now for the latest weather report. Current temperature is 84 degrees. Relative humidity is 92%. Barometric pressure 29.93 inches and rising. The wind is east at 6 knots. Overnight low temperature was 77 degrees. Synopsis indicate light easterly winds and slight seas will continue across the Cayman area for the next 24 hours due to a slack pressure gradient across the northwest Caribbean. Further east, a tropical wave just east of Jamaica will move into the Cayman area tomorrow with a slight increase in chance of showers. Radar images show isolated showers in and around the Cayman area moving west. The forecast for today calling for partly cloudy skies with a 30% chance of showers, and temperatures will be in the upper 80s. Winds will be east at 5 to 10 knots, and seas will be slight with wave heights of 1 to 3 feet. Forecast for tonight calling for pretty much the same partly cloudy skies with a 30% chance of late night showers and possible thunder, and temperatures falling to the upper 70s tonight. Your winds will be east at 5 to 10 knots, and seas will be slight with wave heights of 1 to 3 feet. Today's high tide will be this morning at 9:45, low tide this afternoon at 3:47, and a high tide again tonight at 9:16. The sun will set this evening at 5:53 and will rise tomorrow morning at 6:25. And the outlook is calling for similar weather conditions through Wednesday morning as the tropical wave moves over the western Caribbean.
Superstitch Sewing and Fabric Center was the proud sponsor of the Weather Report, your one-stop shop for all of your household items, craft items, jewelry, beads, and decorations, and much more. Call Superstitch at 949-2833 or email customer care at superstitch.com.ky.
Thinking of decorating your home or your apartment? Then Superstitch is the place for all your household needs. We have sheets, comforters, bathroom accessories, curtains, and a whole lot more. We are the original curtain store with curtains for every room in the house. Some special known curtains for $10 a panel. Yes, just $10 a panel. Come see us today at Superstitch. Superstitch, your one-stop household store at 39 Pasadora Place, Smith Road. Still offering the best prices in town. Call 949-2833 or go to superstitch.com.ky.
As a Caymanian, it's very important to me that projects like this are thought of thoroughly before continuing.
My question is, do we need it? And I've not yet been fully convinced that we need it, nor have I been fully convinced that we don't need it. So
what guarantee do we have that these ships are going to continue to come?
Please make the right decision.
Please don't let the catchy songs overturn you. Please support the referendum. Please ensure that you are supporting sustainable tourism, not just money-making tourism.
If the project plans have changed, even though it might be insignificant on paper, it's going to be significant for the environment.
They need to release official information, official facts.
That's where I am right now. I want to know, I want more information on do we need it.
It's your vote, your future.
So make a decision based on fact.
You deserve the whole truth.
The traffic report is brought to you by Subway. Planning a meeting, event, or office celebration? Visit subway.ky to place your catering order today.
Good morning once again. Let's take a look at traffic. Coming from the Westway four-way stop, traffic flowing moderately. Busy traffic on the Linford Pearson Highway. And little steady traffic on Cool Road. Some sections busy. And just to remind you, the RCIPS is informing the public that the temporary closure of Anton Bodden Drive to westbound traffic during the morning hours will resume today. Anton Bodden Drive will be temporarily closed to westbound traffic between the hours of 6 a.m. and 8 a.m. for 1 week only. Traffic traveling westward along Boddentown Road towards Georgetown will not be permitted to turn onto Anton Bodden Drive during these hours. Only local access will be permitted. Eastbound traffic will not be affected. And the RCIPS is reminding the public to follow all traffic directions given by their police officers. And looking towards Godfrey Nixon Way and Eastern Avenue, traffic is moderate in and out of Georgetown on Shedden Road. Things not looking too bad as traffic is flowing moderately. Light traffic on Owen Roberts Drive and on Northtown Road coming from the Butterfield roundabout heading towards the Industrial Park area. Traffic is moderate. That's the very latest on your traffic. Join us again at about 10 minutes after 12. We'll update you traffic-wise.
you ever have those days when you have to get a super early start, or you're out late at night and want something fresh and healthy to eat? Subway has now opened their third 24-hour location for you early birds and night owls. Subway Countryside in Savannah is now open 24 hours. So now you can grab any of Subway's fresh menu items any time of the day at 3 convenient locations: Countryside in Savannah, Anderson Square in Georgetown, and Centennial Towers West Bay. Subway, eat fresh.
The traffic report is brought to you by Subway. Planning a meeting, event, or office celebration? Visit subway.ky to place your catering order today.
New name, new owner, new management. The TC Paint Shop is the authorized dealer for Sherwin-Williams in the Cayman Islands, and we are ready to serve your needs. We have got the very best quality makeup for your home and your commercial building. All at the TC Paint Shop is Sherwin-Williams paint. So does your home need a little makeup on it? Come and see us. Does your office need a little makeup on it? Come and see us. Lipstick, eyeshadow, face mask, all Sherwin-Williams staff. 943-0565, 27 Godfrey Nixon Way. We are so looking forward to serving you soon.
Did you know that once properly sanitized, some tinned food items may still be safe for consumption after coming in contact with floodwater? In order to properly sanitize these tins, always remove labels, and then wash tins in a strong detergent solution using a brush to get rid of excess impurities. Tins must then be immersed in a solution made of 2 tablespoons of chlorine bleach per gallon of water for 10 minutes. Ensure that containers are air dried before opening. For more post-hurricane food safety tips, visit the DEH website at deh.gov.ky.
For the record, with Orrett Connor.
Initiating system. For information that matters. For the record, with Orrett Connor. Continues right now on Radio Cayman.
Good morning and welcome back to For the Record. We're talking about the situation of dengue here in the Cayman Islands, and it is we hope and trust that this conversation that we're having here will help to allay all of the fears that people may have, may help to also resolve any misconceptions that people may have about dengue and about its transmission as well, and that it will also serve to alert people, the population of the Cayman Islands, in terms of how they go about ensuring that they can contribute to the lessening the spread of dengue here in the Cayman Islands. And to inform us of these situations, we have Dr. Samuel Williams Rodriguez, who's the acting medical officer for health in the Cayman Islands. He is also the director of primary health care here in the Cayman Islands. Dr. Jim McNally, who is the director of MRCU, and Mr. Tim McLaughlin Monroe, who is a senior public health surveillance officer in the Cayman Islands. Now, there are two things that I'd like you to address. One that you were talking about off air had to do with the uniqueness of Cayman, and Tim mentioned earlier the fact of the importance of communication with all of the relevant government authorities. And I think you've done some presentations on this overseas in terms of how the Cayman Islands approaches it. Also, there is a phrase, a terminology that has been used during the discussion, speaking to the fact that the dengue is not endemic to the Cayman Islands. While we do have the mosquito here, dengue itself is not endemic to the Cayman Islands. And I'd like you to explain that to our listening and viewing audience as well. So you can take it in whatever order that you wish.
Okay. Thanks for that. Just to clarify or to give the layman's term on endemic, it means that the mosquito is not here or the disease is not here being transmitted all year round. It is introduced sporadically, and how we suspect it came here is from a person that had dengue mildly. We are the only country in the Caribbean that is not endemic for any of the mosquito-borne diseases. So somebody around us came in, had it mildly, and the mosquito bit them. And that's the only way it can be transmitted, not person to person, but from the bite of an infected mosquito. So, and like we mentioned, we do have the vector, which is the Aedes aegypti mosquito. So every now and then when that vector is infected, it can then infect us. And that's why MRCU plays such a vital and pivotal role in eradicating those mosquitoes, and thus helping us with the disease, controlling the disease.
Okay. Can we talk about that chain of communication that we have with the relevant
Actually,
agencies?
Dr. Williams mentioned that we have a communicable surveillance disease committee that meets monthly. And in this case, we are unique. Most of the countries in our region don't have such a committee, which consists of course, public health nurse, MRCU, Dr. McNally is there, DEH, Department of Environmental Health, Agriculture, Department of Agriculture, and the labs, the public health lab, or HSA lab, sorry. And we can also invite in, as needed, depending on what the disease is, other relevant bodies.
Okay.
Stakeholders.
Doc, anything to add to that?
Yeah, I want to mention that I'm very proud of that committee. I think that, you might understand that was developed for the previous medical officer of health, Dr. Kumar. And it's a committee that has been working for many years. It worked very well. The communication is great within the committee. I have presented and mentioned this committee in different meetings internationally, and this committee is unique to the Cayman Island. Our level of communication and response is impressive, and I really, really proud of that committee. I think one of the main reasons why we have been able to control any outbreak of these diseases on the island is because of the existence of this committee and the personal relationship that we develop now with the members of this committee, which is a lot easier to work with. It's easier for me just to grab the phone and call the director of MRCU and say, we have this case, we need to address it right away. And I'm very happy for this committee. It's something that we always have been made proud of the Cayman Island. We have received from the Pan American Health Organization, from the Caribbean Public Health Agency, saying that this is something that they will encourage the rest of the countries in the region to develop, to form this type of committee, multi-sectorial committee that include environmental health, agriculture, and others. I just want to mention what Tim was mentioning about the endemic disease. The Bermuda is not endemic for any mosquito disease because technically they don't have the mosquito.
They don't have the vector.
They don't have the vector. So that would be another country that doesn't really have the disease. There's only 3 countries in the Americas that doesn't have the vector. One is the Bermuda, Canada, and Chile.
Chile
are the only countries in the region that doesn't really have the vector.
But the beauty about it is that we're surrounded by other countries that are endemic, and we're not. So it goes to show that we're actually doing something here in the Cayman Islands. We're doing something correct to keep away the disease.
Yep. Dr. McNally, MRCU plays an important role here in the Cayman Islands. Unique to the Cayman Islands to a certain extent. It goes back a long way. I won't venture to say, how many years, but I'm sure that the amongst our listening and viewing audience, the name Dr. Marco Giglioli will ring a bell. Tell us some things about MRCU, sir.
Well, it goes back to 1965, so that's when MRCU was created. Marco Giglioli was the first director, and we still stand on his shoulders and the work that he did at MRCU through, I believe, the mid-'80s. So all of the dikes, the dike roads that people use and access these days, many of which are now asphalt roads. That was Marco Giglioli managing water, which is associated with the swamp mosquitoes. And it was really his work and the early work of MRCU that allowed Grand Cayman to become what it is, as a tourist center, a place to go, and a financial center, and all of the other things. If he hadn't and those folks hadn't done the work against those swamp mosquitoes back then, it would be a pretty tough island to live on.
Okay. What, Doc, what do we say to those skeptics who, because I've heard some callers refer to the project, the pilot project that Oxitec undertook here in the Cayman Islands maybe about a year or 2 years ago in the Cayman Islands. And there are some sort of skeptics, or I would call them conspiracy theorists, that this venture had something to do, with the outbreak. How can we debunk that theory?
Well, we can use a word that was used Friday when we were speaking on the radio, which was poppycock. At that time, I threw in balderdash as well. No, that project and those mosquitoes had absolutely nothing, and in no way, shape, or form are involved in the current situation with dengue. As Tim has already said, it's so... Well, he didn't say that it was so easy, but, air travel is so accessible to people these days. They can go to a country, spend a weekend, and come back that quickly. And if they're going to a place where the disease is endemic and active transmission is taking place, there's the potential for them to bring that disease back here. And that's exactly what's happened. So that had absolutely nothing to do with that project.
Okay. Now, some of the old-timers will also remember persons like Mr. Harris, who used to go on board the aircraft and spray them when they arrived in the Cayman Islands. That no longer obtains. Why is that?
Well, MRCU made the decision to move away from port disinfection after Hurricane Ivan. My understanding is that Aedes aegypti pre-Ivan was relatively isolated, but post-Ivan, MRCU figured, with the scattering of debris, that there was no point. It was across the entire island, so they would stop their port disinfection program. I would hope that in the next couple to several years that we could beat the Aegypti population back into those isolated pockets and corners and reinvigorate our port disinfection program.
Okay. Dr. Williams, in relation to the local medical community, what role do they play in terms of alerting you? Are there protocols in place when a local doctor who's not within the public health system encounters a suspected case? Are there protocols that have been established?
Well, yeah, more than a protocol, actually there's a law. There's a public health law. There's a public health law that diseases that need to be reported to the public health department by law. But we don't really use or mandate go through the law. There's no need for that. We do get a lot of assistance and cooperation from the private sector as well. They will report the cases. They will guide the patient on what to do. It's a case that they can manage. They will manage. Most of the dengue cases are mild cases that can be managed in a private or in a primary care setting. But if the patient needs to be referred, they will refer the patient to the hospital, and they will inform the public health department. They have different lines. We have Tim, I have mentioned before, he's the senior public health surveillance officer, but we do have another surveillance officer in our department who also she has been very busy as well these days. But they can call anyone and report. There's a different way of reporting to us. There's a Red Book, which is a reporting book. There's a form that can be reported as well by email, phone call. I get phone calls from private physicians all the time saying, listen, I have a case like this. What should I do? So the communication is very fluid. It's very open with the private physician. We're very thankful for them for reporting, not only dengue, because there's other infectious disease that need to be reported. And they do report on a regular basis. I didn't want to mention names, particular name not to, but I do want to mention Health City, Cayman Island. They have been reporting cases to us on a regular basis, on a weekly basis. not only of dengue, like I said, any infectious disease, and they have been now a norm for them to report regularly to us, and we're very thankful for them and their team for what they're doing. But we don't have any complaint from the private sector when it comes to reporting. They're well equipped to manage these cases as well. Like I said, most of these cases are mild, and if there's any cases that run into any complication, to refer the patient to the hospital for further care.
Okay, and from a local standpoint, you have all of the tools, all of the necessary information to basically deal with all of the local cases?
I would say to manage the cases, yes. The cases are it's a viral illness which is managed symptomatically. So we treat the patient depending on the symptoms that they have. Something important for the public, because most of the cases are mild, so you can basically treat it at home. But for pain and fever, don't take any aspirin-containing products. So take Panadol, Tylenol, paracetamol, whatever they call it. It's the same medication, but not ibuprofen or aspirin or Advil or anything like that, because of the increases risk of bleeding with medication containing aspirin. I remember we mentioned earlier that bleeding is one of the complications of dengue. So if you're not sure, you don't take the ibuprofen. Go ahead and take some Tylenol, and you will be okay for the pain and fever mainly. When it comes to and I said for the management, for the treatment, yes. For the diagnosis, though, the diagnosis of dengue is mostly clinically, because the clinic, but we don't report confirmed cases until we get a report from the lab. We have some local testing here in Cayman Islands with all the suspected cases. Now we are sending them to the Caribbean Public Health Agency, which is the reference lab for the region. And we are sending it to them, and we also have a direct communication, because we know them as well, even personally, to the director of the Caribbean Public Health Agency in order to expedite these results. So we send the sample to them. Once we get the result from the Caribbean Public Health Agency called CARFA, we then have it as a confirmed case. Then we report this case, and we will share with the public at that point. But we also inform MRCU again. So they got an initial information from us when there's a suspected case. When it come back, we also send back to them saying, okay, this is positive or this is negative. And depending on that, they will take measure. And this system worked really good. And we did get an email last week from the director of the Caribbean Public Health Agency assuring us that they will expedite those cases for us.
Okay, we're going to take a commercial break. I want to give you something to think about when we return. We know that in some jurisdictions there is a tendency to under-report cases. Why is it important here in the Cayman Islands for us to ensure that we're transparent, that we let people know what is happening? We report the number of cases. Why is that so important for us to do that, to be transparent in terms of what we do? Folks, please stay tuned. For the record, we'll be back shortly.
I'm starting my shopping early this year. What do you want for Christmas?
All I really want for Christmas is for my packages to arrive on time.
Plan ahead to get your shipments into Seaboard Marine on time and avoid the holiday rush. Check out their great less-than-container shipment rates. Seaboard saves you time, money, and convenience with consolidation and repacking options available. Take a load off Santa this holiday season. Shop, ship, and save on your small packages with Seaboard Marine. Give us a call at 949-4977 or visit seaboardmarine.com/grand-cayman for quotes or additional details.
Shipping shore to shore, Seaboard.
Saturday, November 30, just before Christmas. You can be the grand prize winner of $40,000 with your Rotary Central Music Extravaganza ticket purchase of only $25. Win that grand prize of $40,000. Second prize of $4,000, 6 $1,000 prizes, and more. Yes, Saturday, November 30, the 24th Rotary Central Music Extravaganza, Royal Palms, West Bay Road from 7 p.m. Music by Sugar Daddy, C&B, Leslie Duran, and Trio Caribe. Get your golden tickets now on sale through Rotary Central members, Rotary ticket sellers, and eventpro.ky. Every ticket funds a cause. Rotary Central, 50 community projects over 33 years. Your ticket can be the winner. Your ticket, your chance, your community. Rotary, connecting the world.
Verdant Isle Port Partners is hosting a job fair and open house on Tuesday, October 29th between 4 p.m. and 8 p.m. at Margaritaville Beach Resort. Obtain information and register expressions of interest for jobs in building, heavy civil, marine construction and diving, cruise ship positions, tours and shore excursions. Have an idea for a tour business? Appointments are also available for meetings with cruise company executives to discuss tour business opportunities and ideas. For details, visit verdant.ky or email info@verdant.ky.
Think about something that makes you happy. Did it make you smile? We know it did, because that's what we do at Sagicor. Put smiles on our clients' faces every day. With a large range of products to cover your family, it's no wonder most locals choose Sagicor for their life insurance needs. Serving the community for over 25 years. Let us put a smile on your face. Call your Sagicor advisor today.
System 1 loaded. 1-800-534-8255. What is on your mind when it comes to the government, independence, and the opposition? Issues that matter to you. 1-800-534-8255. Waiting to hear from you. For the record.
This is For the Record with Orrett Connor.
Good morning and welcome back to For the Record. We're in the last segment of this portion of the show this morning. Discussion taking place with Dr. Samuel Williams Rodriguez, Dr. Jim McNally, and Mr. Tim McLaughlin Monroe. Before we went to the break, I posed the question about being transparent in the Cayman Islands, reporting the cases. So Dr. Williams is going to address that. Then Dr. McNally is going to talk about MRCU, its role, and what the public can do in relation to assisting in ensuring that we remain as free from dengue as we possibly can. And then Mr. Tim McLaughlin Monroe will talk about the effectiveness of the surveillance program that we have in place as well. Dr. Williams.
Thank you. It's important for us to be able to report all the cases accurately to the public. I was mentioning that there are countries in the region that don't report all their cases, or they wait until the last time to report the case. And there's a justification for that. It's a financial, economical justification for that. Most of the islands in the Caribbean depend on tourism. And when we have an outbreak of any of this disease, of course, a lot of tourists won't want to come to our island. Our policy for many years have been for the Public Health Department, the Ministry of Health, and the government is to report the cases accurately. It's a matter of trust. If we want the public to work with us, we need the public to trust us. And we report all the cases. Now, I know that in social media and other venues, they say there are cases that we are not reporting. We do report all the cases, but we report the confirmed cases. So we wait until we have all the results from the Caribbean Public Health Agency, and then we report the cases. We will have a press release this Friday coming with an update to all the cases that we have tested. All the cases have been positive and negative, and which of them are local and which of them are considered imported. Now, at this stage, it's a little bit difficult to tag a case as imported, because unless it's somebody has been off the island for a good while and just came into the island and developed symptoms 1 or 2 days after coming to the island from an endemic country, then we can say it's an imported case. But it's somebody who's here on the island and went to one other country in the region for a weekend and come back and develop symptoms. It's kind of difficult to know if he actually got the virus here or overseas. So we will consider those cases local transmission, because we do have local transmission now. But the question that you asked, it's important for us to give accurate information to the public. We don't want to be telling to the public cases that are suspected, and then at the end they're proved not to be dengue because the symptoms are similar to other viral illness. So, but it's just a matter of trust, and that's why our policy for many years, and we'll continue to do that, is to report all the cases that we have in dengue, regardless of any consequences. We work very close with the Department of Tourism when it comes to communication, because we understand the importance that this have also any outbreak of any communicable disease to the tourism industry. I think, I'm not sure it have been mentioned, I know we haven't mentioned today, but we did have, was it 2 weeks ago, a multi-sectorial meeting with many different departments from there, including, of course, MRCU and Agriculture and Environmental Health, and the Department of Tourism as well, and the Ministry of Health, the CMO, the Chief Medical Officer. I think it should need to be fair and mention that the Chief Medical Officer has been involved, very involved in all the management with different meetings. And I think that he was on the radio last Friday with Timothy and Dr. McNally. So the ministry, all the different departments, we have been working together in order to keep the public informed. We're working with the media as well, with GIS and the rest of the media, just to make sure that the public is informed. And we will keep the public informed because the public is actually the most important when it comes to the control of any of these diseases.
Dr. McNally?
All right, well, I'll take it from the public being important. I've been referring to this as a shared responsibility recently. Yeah. You know, we have a dozen employees who respond to these cases, and our response is everything from going door to door, yard to yard, to turn over those buckets, treat those tires, but it's impossible for us to go to everyone's yard and look for and treat and turn over their buckets and tires and wheelbarrows and check their gutters that might be clogged. This really is a shared responsibility. Any man-made container that you can think of that will hold a little bit of water for a week or more has the potential to produce this particular mosquito. So with the rains that we had Saturday, those containers are now full again. If folks would just take a lap around, as I call it, take a look around their yard, back, front, side, check everywhere on their property for these containers that might be holding water. Either turn them over, or if you require the water to be in that container, flush it. Put new water in there, tip it out. That's right. So that would help us, your neighbors, everyone in the immediate area immensely. And it's really necessary to break the cycle of disease. So we're doing everything we can, as I said, from going yard to deploying the trucks and the planes. But we really need folks to step up in this type of a situation and help everyone out.
Yeah. There's a part that everyone can play in this fight. Yes.
That's absolutely correct. Yes.
Certainly. Mr. McLaughlin.
Thank you. First of all, for this opportunity again, where we could come and just remind the public not only their responsibility, but what we do. We take our job seriously as well in the surveillance unit. We're fairly confident that our surveillance is of such that we will be able to detect these cases as they occur, and we will be able to control it. I've been in this position now since 2000, and in that time, the region has seen 2 outbreaks previously to this one. And as 2007, when we had 9 cases that year in Cayman, and then the 2012-13 outbreak. And as mentioned by Dr. Williams, we had 37 cases in 2012 and 7 in 2013. Combined, that was 44, and 31 of those were local transmissions. So, I'm fairly confident that we are able to break the transmission again and to become, to remain one of the countries that are not endemic for any mosquito-borne diseases, which includes malaria, yellow fever, chikungunya, Zika. So although we have the vector, we have a very good control system, and we have a very good communication between the various departments in that response to containing the disease.
Okay, before you gentlemen go, we have one caller on line. Caller, good morning. Welcome to For the Record.
Hi, good morning all. How many cases of confirmed dengue fever have we had?
Caller, we're getting a feedback a little bit there.
Sorry, I don't know what happened.
If you're near to your radio, that may be causing feedback.
I'm not near to my
Okay,
radio.
go right ahead.
How many confirmed cases of dengue fever do we have, and do we have it in each district? And are we spraying the planes when they come from Honduras, Jamaica, and Cuba, who I understand had dengue fever as well? Dengue mosquitoes?
Okay, we have 6 confirmed cases so far. And as mentioned before, 3 of those with travel history and 3 without. And they're not from all districts, but we do have cases being investigated from just about every district at this time.
Okay.
And I touched on spraying planes, and that would include ships, boats, containers as well. No, we do not have an active port disinfection program at this point. The vector, the mosquito, is everywhere, and so until we get it controlled on this island, introductions are not of the mosquito are not all that critical at this point.
That's what I know. In the past, many years ago, whenever flights came in from other countries that had things like that, they sprayed the aircraft after all the passengers disembarked.
That's what Dr. McNally was referring to. When we have the vector under control on island, then we would then control it at the ports. But at this time, the vector is all over the island, so it doesn't matter whether it's reintroduced or not. It's here.
Yeah, but if you have it in 6 corners, spray it 4, that don't help either. That's not going to cure the whole thing either. Anyway, good.
Thank you very much, caller. Thank you very much, caller, for that. Anything you want to add to before we close off?
Just as I mentioned before, we're here to alleviate fears and concerns, and that we've dealt with this disease
Previously.
before, and I'm fairly confident that we will overcome it again this time, and probably in short order as well.
I think based on that caller's question, I believe people still need to understand that because the vector is already here, that the introduction of it from other countries, it doesn't change the equation much simply because the vector is here. Is that, am I explaining that right, Doc?
That's absolutely correct. So we've been tasked, MRCU's been tasked with the responsibility of eradicating this mosquito from the island. We'll be working on a plan and rolling that plan out in 2020. And as we make progress and begin to reduce the populations of Aedes aegypti, as I refer to it, backing them into that corner where they're not as widely distributed as they are right now, stopping future reinductions will be critical. That will be a critical part of our game, our management plan. And so we will reintroduce and reinvigorate a port disinfection program where we want to stop those mosquitoes from coming in by plane, train, and automobile, so to speak.
Okay.
Just one thing before we
Sure,
go.
Doc.
I just want to reiterate that dengue, even though the vector is the mosquito, is actually is us, the people who actually carry the disease from country to country. And even though the caller have mentioned 3 specific countries, we do have a lot of traveling most to the U.S., to Florida. And there are cases of dengue in Florida as well. Like Tim have mentioned before, dengue is endemic to the whole region. So we don't want to create a sense of security that we will go ahead and do control measure to those flights coming from those specific countries. We will have any control. The most important thing is when we travel to these countries, is to avoid being bitten by mosquitoes. And that also includes Florida, which have some cases of dengue, local transmission as well.
Okay. Gentlemen, I want to thank you for being here this morning. Wish you all the best in your endeavors. Folks, please stay tuned for the record. We'll be back shortly, and we have discussions that we will be taking place as well. So please stay tuned.
Saturday, November 30, just before Christmas. You, yes, you can be the grand prize winner of $40,000 with your Rotary Central Music Extravaganza ticket purchase of only $25. Win that grand prize of $40,000. Second prize of $4,000, 6 $1,000 prizes, and more. Yes, Saturday, November 30, the 24th Rotary Central Music Extravaganza, Royal Palms, West Bay Road from 7 p.m. Music by Sugar Daddy, C&B, Leslie Duran, and Trio Caribe. Get your golden tickets now on sale through Rotary Central members, Rotary ticket sellers, and eventpro.ky. Every ticket funds a cause. Rotary Central, 50 community projects over 33 years. Your ticket can be the winner. Your ticket, your chance, your community. Rotary, connecting the world.
It was a day that changed my life. No words can describe the feelings of seeing my baby boy sick for the first time. The overwhelming feeling of fear to be responsible for his health and happiness became my priority. So I did what any nurturing mother would do when their baby is sick. I took him to get some of the best medicine possible.
CTMH Doctors Hospital Pharmacy understands the importance of careful decisions you make every day for your family. Our staff work towards healthcare excellence and providing the most current and up-to-date training with pharmaceutical care, so you can feel confident in knowing that your family is safe with the right medication. At CTMH Doctors Hospital Pharmacy, we take care of your health.
Vehicle owners are reminded that the Department of Vehicle and Driver's Licensing amnesty will expire on November 1st. The amnesty provides a waiver of back fees for unlicensed vehicles. If you plan to keep your vehicle on the road, keep your plates and visit the DVDL. If you are discarding your vehicle, dispose of it at the landfill and drop your plates off at the DVDL. For more information, contact 945-8344 or visit www.dvdl.gov.ky.
89.9 Radio Cayman helps you to weather the storm during this hurricane season.
One of the most crucial elements of hurricane preparedness is storm awareness. During the season, it is of utmost importance to pay attention to the latest local weather forecasts, as hurricanes do not suddenly form or strike. There are various methods of advanced notification. Utilizing such may be the difference between a favorable outcome and disaster. Both television and radio serve as excellent mediums with up-to-the-minute storm path information in the wake of a hurricane. Another method of tracking a hurricane may be only arm's length away. Your smartphone or tablet can be your most valuable tool before, during, and after a storm, providing countless numbers of apps with crucial hurricane information. Many apps allow you to track storms with moving radar and satellite imagery, plus offer alerts, current conditions, forecasts, advisories, and even video.
This hurricane preparedness tip was brought to you by your community radio station, Radio Cayman, 89.9 FM.
For the record, with Orrett Connor.
Initiating system. For information that matter. For the record, with Orrett Connor. Continues right now on Radio Cayman.
Good morning and welcome back to For the Record. We had one more question for our guests that I was unable to ask them before they left, and that had to do, someone wanted to know whether or not dengue affects animals that are outside, and if so, what are the symptoms? So if our guests are listening while they're in their vehicles, someone wants to know whether or not animals that are kept outside, whether or not it affects animals outside, and hopefully they can get back to us on that. If not, we'll try to find out. But we have other things to talk about this morning. Not that dengue is not important, but we also know that the roads of the Cayman Islands are important. Our transportation system, our road infrastructure, so important in the Cayman Islands. So many vehicles, so many road users, be they pedestrians, be they cyclists, bicyclists, or operating any type of motorized vehicles on the roads of the Cayman Islands, all so important. And it is also important for those persons who are using the roads of the Cayman Islands to be safe as well. And as a result of that, there is a road safety conference that is taking place, and we will have a discussion with Mr. Edward Howard, who's the managing director, acting managing director of the National Roads Authority. Also with us, Mrs. Marian Pandoy, who's the transportation planner with the National Roads Authority as well. Folks, good morning. Welcome to For the Record.
Good morning. Thanks for having us.
Good morning.
Okay, tell us about this very important conference that is taking place, whether or not it's something that is done annually, or whether or not things are getting to the point where we have to continue to address the road safety in the Cayman Islands.
The Road Safety Conference actually is annual. This is the second one. We had one last year about the same time. That we're going to build on the first conference. This year, we're actually going to be speaking more on the new National Road Safety Strategy that has come by government. We're going to build on that and talk about the various 5 E's of road safety: engineering, emergency services, evaluation, education and enforcement. Yeah. So we're building upon those aspects to try to build upon this road safety strategy that government has initiated. And we're bringing together the relevant stakeholders, and members of the public are invited to come to discuss these issues, because we are bringing down an expert on this type of initiative, on this type of strategy, to help us bring these aspects together into one strategy, one policy, to help us bring forward a proper road safety initiative.
Okay. Can you tell us some of the local participants as well, if you want to get into specifics in relation to that?
Sure. Some of the local people that are coming forward are obviously the police. Dwayne Jones, Inspector Dwayne Jones, is going to come. Chief Fire Officer Paul Walker is going to join us. I'm going to be speaking. Edward's going to be speaking as well. We're also going to be having Julian Lewis, the Department of Public Safety Communications, 911. He'll be there. And we're going to also to have Miss Odine Bolt of Hurley's Media is going to be talking about the private sector, how they can help out with the road safety initiative through education. And also the insurance Saxon Insurance is actually going to also be speaking about their issues and initiatives with road safety as well.
Okay, and I see the DVDL.
The DVDL and the ministry is just there's actually quite a few. I've obviously missed a few people coming to the road safety strategy starting tomorrow, and they'll be talking about the ministry, and then DVDL will be talking about the new EVR initiative as well.
Okay, tell us about your keynote speaker for the event.
Well, this year's keynote is Mr. Michael Dresnes, who is the executive vice president of the International Road Federation. Now, that's a large advocacy group, mostly based in Europe, but they've been active in the Caribbean and Latin countries for about 12 years or so. So they've been putting on road safety conferences in the Caribbean region, which we as NRA staff have been attending since 2012, I think. So our speaker, Mr. Michael Dresnes, is really of a world-renowned road safety advocate. He speaks all over the world on issues of road safety. So we're very glad to have him also come and be our keynote speaker, as well as a facilitator for a lot of our workshops and roundtable discussions that we'll be having throughout the week.
Okay. Yeah. How will the second conference compare with the first? What will you be doing anything different? Have the players changed? Have you added more interest groups?
Yes, absolutely.
Involved?
We've last year we had just a small number of groups. We had the core persons that Marian mentioned earlier, We're expanding it this year to include the cycling folks from the Cycling Association. We want to hear from them. Obviously, they're what we call vulnerable road users, and we want to get people to understand that bicycles under the traffic law are vehicles, and so there'll be some really candid discussions about experiences that the cyclists are having on the roads in Cayman, and they'll be able to give us some feedback as well on things that we could do better. This year specifically, we wanted to focus on really trying to develop this national road safety strategy that Marion mentioned. That's a very important document. Most developed countries and some of the developing countries have formulated national road safety strategy. A lot of these strategies tend to look primarily at reducing road fatalities or road deaths. That's something that we're pretty keen about here in Cayman as well. Because I was actually doing some of the numbers just last week, and since 2000, we've had 149 people die on our roads. So that averages out to about eight persons per year, which is really high for a country of this size.
Yes.
Yeah. So we want to look in, really delve into some of the causes, whether it's drink driving, speeding, these types of things, and really get into the issues of those and see what we can do as a nation to really try to stem and reduce that number of fatalities, as well as serious injuries as well.
Yes.
Yeah.
Okay, and I see, we have about, Ms. Susan, you ready for headline news at this point in time, or should we continue talking? We still have about a minute. I in looking at the participants, and I see here that one insurance company, Saxon Insurance, is involved as well, and will be participating in the conference.
Absolutely.
And the importance of the insurance industry, so that they're viewed not simply as there to sell insurance to people, but also to try to mitigate against the risks that are involved in either cycling, driving, or whatever. So important to have them on board. So we want to talk about that a little bit. We also want to talk about DVDL's involvement in it, because there are people, including myself, who strongly believe that some of the road users that we have, especially those persons who operate motor vehicles on the roads of the Cayman Islands, many are ill prepared to actually operate vehicles on the roads of the Cayman Islands, and what, if anything, can be done in that area as well. So, folks, please stay tuned. Headline news at 9 o'clock when we return. The conversation will continue with Mr. Edward Hauer and Mrs. Marian Pandoi.
Today's biggest news.
Radio Cayman.
It's only two species that we have, on Island.
Generations present.
Your voice, your choice.
For today's biggest news. Access.
Information. Local, regional, international. This is headlines from Radio Cayman's newsroom team.
Today's biggest news.
Lawmakers are heading to Legislative Assembly this morning to debate the first People's-initiated referendum bill, which will relate to the Cruise Port project. This comes after an exchange over the weekend between project opponents, CPR Cayman, and the Premier, the Honourable Alden McLaughlin. European Union leaders have agreed in principle to extend Brexit until January 31st next year, meaning the United Kingdom will not leave as planned on Thursday. EU Council President Donald Tusk said it was a, quote, flextension, meaning the UK could leave before the deadline if a deal was approved by Parliament. It comes as MPs prepare to vote on proposals by Boris Johnson for an early general election on December 12th. And a major rescue operation to save a toddler stuck in a narrow well in India has gone into a fourth day. The 2-year-old was initially stuck at about 30 feet, but has since fallen further into a 180-meter deep well. Rescuers are pumping oxygen to the boy, but layers of mud mean they cannot access the child's condition. They are now using heavy machinery to dig a second hole parallel to the one the child fell into. Those are your headlines. I'm Karsley Fuller.
Stay in touch with Radio Cayman for the latest in news and information.
Follow Radio Cayman on social media, Facebook, Instagram, Twitter. Download the Radio Cayman app or log on to our website, www.radiocayman.gov.ky.
Radio Cayman, your voice, your choice, your radio.
For the record, with Orrett Connor.
Initiating system.
For information that matters. For the record. with Orrett Connor continues right now on Radio Cayman.
Good morning and welcome back to For the Record. We're talking about the road safety conference that is scheduled to take place at the Ritz-Carlton Hotel starting on October the 29th and running through the 1st of November. That discussion has taken place with Mr. Edward Howard, who is the Managing Director of the National Roads Authority, and Mrs. Marian Pandoy, who is the Transportation Planner at the National Roads Authority. Folks, there's no question that the increase in the number of vehicles and the number of drivers on the roads of the Cayman Islands, not to mention pedestrians, not to mention cyclists, including motorized bicycles that don't necessarily require licensing, not to mention the fact that we're having electric cars on the roads of the Cayman Islands that are not as loud as other vehicles, getting accustomed to those. We now see challenges that the National Roads Authority is facing in having to reconfigure roadways as a result of this increase in traffic. This conference could not have come at a more timely, in a more timely fashion that it has, and hopefully, with all of the players who are involved, all of the interested parties who are involved in this, we will be able to come up with some solutions and some answers to the many challenges that we're facing here in the Cayman Islands. So, I mentioned earlier the insurance companies, as well as the Department of Vehicle and Drivers License and their involvement in it. Insurance companies, I always feel, play a hugely important role, not just simply being there to insure vehicles because of the legal requirement, but also at the same time being there to educate the public and to try to prevent as many road accidents, road fatalities as possible as well.
Yes, absolutely. In insurance companies, it really for them it's good business sense. And I say that from the standpoint that, the fewer claims that they have to pay out, it just makes sense for insurance. So what we've seen in sort of globally in the road safety trend is that insurance companies have largely stepped up in just about most countries in the world and really become huge sponsors of public education, public awareness in regards to road safety. Because like I said, it actually benefits them, and not having to pay out large claims and so forth. So if they can get those numbers down, the number of accidents, the number of fatalities especially, because those are the ones that have the larger economic costs. So so we encourage that here as well. We try to get the insurance companies on board. Last year we had representatives from the Cayman Islands Insurance Association. And this year we're having again someone from Sagicor, is it? Or Saxon. Yes, the Saxon is coming as well, just to, to give us a feedback on their efforts and the things that they can do to promote road safety in the Cayman Islands.
Okay, we have one caller. Let's go to the phone lines. Caller, good morning. Welcome to For the Record.
Yeah, good morning, Mr. O.C. How are you today, sir?
Good morning, sir. I'm fine. How are you?
Good.
Good to hear from you.
Your guest as well. Yes, same. Thank you, sir.
Good morning, sir. How are you?
Morning to your guest. Fine. Just a couple of quick points and a question or two. I don't know how young or how old your panel members are, whether they remember the Master Ground Transportation Study that was done in the early 80s.
Yes, I do.
What happened to that? That was a big plan. It was called grandiose and everything else, and it was thrown out. And now I think we are paying the price for not having proper long-term road corridors planning, road reservations. I remember I was in the middle of that debate then, and we were pleading to the government and the opposition at that time to reserve the corridors at least, so you'll have those corridors for future development. And even that wasn't done because of cost and because of politics, really. So the whole issue of carrying capacity and long-term planning is why we're having a lot of these issues now. But in terms of sort of short-term fixes, the bicycles, for example, bicycles and bicycle tracks, bicycle trails. I know Mr. O.C. is a big rider as well, and he often comments on the lack of those safe bicycle lanes on our roadways. But I know a lot of people who come on the island would ride to work and ride back if they had bicycle lanes that were designated and they were safe and whatnot. I know one gentleman who came here a few months ago from a country in Europe brought his bicycle. Both he and his wife were bicyclists, and they planned to ride to work and ride back. But after doing it a couple of weeks, they didn't feel safe, so they abandoned that idea. And I know also there's other workers coming in from sort of less affluent countries, and they can't really afford a car or public transportation. Being what it is, they can't rely on it or don't want to rely on it, and so they ride. But what I see happening, gentlemen, is that a lot of them are riding without lights.
And lady, Miss Marion Pando is here too.
Marion, sorry.
That's okay.
Sorry. But I thank you, sir. I see they riding without headlights, without light in the back. A lot of them ride on the wrong side of the road, and so I think that in addition to bicycle lanes, we need to also educate those cyclists that they have to be careful they don't become road fatalities because of those practices. Yeah. The other point I want to make is in relation to the taxi and tour operator, or the taxi drivers, those that drive, many of them drive very reckless and cause major problems on the road, and whether the police are doing enough work in terms of enforcing, because some of those folks come on the island, they work for these local companies that have busing businesses and whatnot, and because their driving habits, it endangers pedestrians, other motorists, and also scares the potential passengers. And that might be another issue why we're not having people take up public transportation. The final point is, do you all think that government incentivizing the school busing companies to get more equipment, better equipment, and even if government has to subsidize it and make sure that there's enough space and facilities for private school students to be able to catch the buses, would not really alleviate traffic significantly. I'll leave those three questions with you and those points, and I look forward to your discussion. Good luck on your conference. I wish I could attend it, but good luck in that, and thanks for your good work. And Mr. O.C., thanks for a very good topic again this morning.
Thank you very much, caller. Thank you very much, caller.
Thank you. Just wanted to, actually, a lot was said there by the caller. I do remember the Master Ground Transportation Plan. I was just leaving high school at the time when all the debate was going on. So I actually do have a copy of that plan on my desk, in my office. I just wanted to also, he mentioned bicycles and so forth. We are on this minister in particular, our minister, Joey Hugh, is a huge cycle and a pedestrian advocate. And he has really challenged us as an authority to really look at these types of vulnerable road users, we term them. So you will see that in a lot of our new road designs, we're actually including on-road bicycle lanes, as well as sidewalks where best we can. It becomes challenging when you're widening in areas, especially commercial areas and residential areas, where you have to take homes and walls and so forth, because those things can get pretty expensive. But in addition to the on-road bicycle lanes, we also need to really look at at cycle trails and paths and so forth, because really a lot of the more developed countries, you'll see where they actually do have that. So on-road bicycle lanes have to really connect to bicycle paths and so forth. So that's where planning comes in. So a lot of times when they're doing they're reviewing new development and so forth, and they really need to and we've been speaking to them about that, to really focus on asking developers to be considerate of that and to to make allowances for that, because it doesn't take much. You just ask people who ride. You got the road bike persons like yourself, but you also got casual riders.
Exactly. Yes.
Who will definitely through town in different places like that. They will take certain paths. Some of the old footpaths that are in town and different places where they can, actually they find it easier to maneuver their bicycles through. So that's also a part and parcel of looking at bicycles, not just the on-road lanes, but also bicycle paths as well. Okay. Mm-hmm.
Ms. Pando, you anything to add to what was said there? Or questions asked?
Well, I guess I just wanted to add that the connection of the bicycle paths, we have been working diligently on it, trying with the new road designs to incorporate the bicycle paths, specifically on, I guess, on main roads to get those, I guess, they captured riders that actually have to use the bicycle to get to work. Specifically, that you see them in the mornings when they're trying to get to work. Yes. So you want to make sure that the ride is safe for them. So I know the last year's conference we talked about West Bay Road and making it more of a complete street type design where you do incorporate the bicycle lanes, incorporate the better sidewalks, and make it then slow down the traffic on that particular road, so make it easier for people, like I said, to get from A to B on their bicycle and vehicle and walk all on the same particular road. And we also are probably also going to incorporate a bicycle lane, say, on Esley Tibbetts Highway, because that is a main route for people to get from home to work, and because you see the connections from the main roads all the way from West Bay all the way going out east, and you need to provide that connection from there to there.
How challenging is it when designing and developing roundabouts to incorporate bike lanes into that?
That's tricky.
That's a very tricky thing. It's treated differently in different parts of the world depending on the culture, the driving culture. So, for example, in Amsterdam, in places like that, they have a more bicycle and pedestrian-friendly culture. So what we learned is, from our research and stuff, is that basically 45% of those people drive. And then, so that means 55% of, are actually more, so it's a more bicycle-friendly, pedestrian-friendly type of environment. It's a good question you asked, because what we learned last year was whether we like it or not, bicycles are being forced on us. Especially we notice a lot of the hotels and people and tour companies are now offering that as a service. Yes. So we really have to cater to that. And like I said before, we have to recognize that bicycles are vehicles. They are classified as vehicles, and so they are allowed to utilize the road just as a car would. And there are expectations that they observe the rules of the road, just like other road users do as well. So that's where the education aspect, because I've driven down the road and seen bicycles coming at me the opposite way, and doing all sorts of absurd things, weaving in and out of traffic and stuff. So that's where the education aspect comes in as well. But we're really, like I said, we're being forced to tackle that whole issue of bicycles. And the one thing you don't want to do is have tourists come to the island, and we're promoting the island as a bicycle-friendly environment, and then we don't have the facilities to allow for that. So, okay, we're going to take a commercial break, and we do have a voice message from one of our listeners as well. We will play that when we return. Folks, please stay tuned. For the record, we'll be back shortly.
It was a day that changed my life. No words can describe the feelings of seeing my baby boy sick for the first time. The overwhelming feeling of fear to be responsible for his health and happiness became my priority. So I did what any nurturing mother would do when their baby is sick. I took him to get some of the best medicine possible.
CTMH Doctors Hospital Pharmacy understands the importance of careful decisions you make every day for your family. Our staff work towards healthcare excellence and providing the most current and up-to-date training with pharmaceutical care, so you can feel confident in knowing that your family is safe with the right medication. At CTMH Doctors Hospital Pharmacy, we take care of your health.
I'm starting my shopping early this year. What you want for Christmas?
All I really want for Christmas is for my packages to arrive on time.
Plan ahead to get your shipments into Seaboard Marine on time and avoid the holiday rush. Check out their great less-than-container shipment rates. Seaboard saves you time, money, and convenience with consolidation and repacking options available. Take a load off Santa this holiday season. Shop, ship, and save on your small packages with Seaboard Marine. Give us a call at 949-4977 or visit seaboardmarine.com/grand-cayman for quotes or additional details.
Shipping shore to shore, Seaboard.
Congratulations, it's a boy.
During the greatest events of your life, whether or not you have the right health insurance coverage should be the last thing on your mind. That's why at Fidelity Health, we are committed to helping you get matched with the right plan to suit you and your family. We offer a range of plans to suit your budget, plus access to a network of quality care throughout the Caribbean and the USA. You can relax and enjoy life's greatest moments when you are covered with Fidelity Health. Call us today at 949-7822 for a free quote.
Saturday, November 2nd, Breeze Fusion 2019.
Are you ready?
Yeah. The Breeze Fusion 5K, 10K walk run.
Bigger and better.
Now featuring a 5K walk run and a 10K run for half marathon trainers. Join the fun and help raise funds for the Central Scranton Park and the NCBO.
Yes, Cayman Islands, it's back. Your chance to be healthy. Your chance to give back.
Save the date or register now at CaymanActive.com or at Radio Cayman Studio.
The Breeze Fusion 5K, 10K walk run.
Saturday, November 2nd.
I like to move it. You like to move it.
The Breeze Fusion 5K, 10K walk run.
Taking place at Smith Macadair, starting at 6:15 a.m.
For the record, with Orrett Connor.
Initiating system.
For information that matter. For the record, with Orrett Connor. Continues right now on Radio Cayman.
Good morning and welcome back to For the Record. We're discussing the Road Safety Conference that is taking place here in the Cayman Islands, commencing on October the 29th at the Ritz-Carlton and continuing on until the 1st of November. That discussion is taking place with Mr. Edward Howard and Miss Marian Pandoy. We have that WhatsApp, the voice note from one of our listeners. We're going to play that for you now, and we have a few questions otherwise also.
Good morning, OC, and good morning to your panel. I'm happy to hear the subject that you guys are talking about this morning, and second it with Mario Ebanks about the bicycle lanes in particular. That's my main reason for sending this message. I spent 4 years in Europe, and most of my time was spent in Holland. In Holland, they have bicycle lanes. These bicycle lanes do not run adjacent to the roadway like the way we have ours right now, but they have actual roads for bicycles that are off the main. So you'll be driving on the highway or on a main road, and you'll see a bicycle lane going out into the woods somewhere, and they are brick paved. They are beautifully made, and people don't have to ride on the roadways where there's cars or traffic of any kind. So that's just my 2 cents for this morning.
Okay, we want to thank that caller for that. And you, Mr. Howard, you did mention
Yes,
Holland before, and I'll give you an opportunity to respond to that. We have a WhatsApp message. It reads, I note your guest said he had a copy of the Master Ground Transportation Plan on his desk. The question is he utilizing any of this plan in the current road works?
Okay, let me take the other one first.
Sure.
Just to kind of reiterate what I said earlier, driving culture differs in different parts of the world, and we certainly know in Holland about 40 to 45% of persons there use the automobile. So the majority actually do use bicycles, and as the caller said, absolutely, they have bicycle lanes, they have trails, and one of the unique things that they also have is at their roundabouts, is they actually do cycle tracks around the roundabout, and it is a rule, or I guess it's law, really, that you're supposed to yield to bicycles in the roundabout. So cyclists actually do have the right of way. So you can imagine one of our larger roundabouts, they would actually build a cycle track on the outside of that roundabout. And as the cyclists go around that roundabout, as they come to each of those each of those legs, vehicles must yield to the bicycles. Now, see, that's how that works in their culture, and they've taken a lot of time to develop that. Here, we're probably 95% automobiles, so we're more car-centric, as is the U.S. and other places and so forth. So it's going to take time to kind of
shift the focus.
And we call that, in transportation terms, we call that mobility. So being able to offer more choices. We just had a discussion recently about a lot of these e-bikes and scooters and stuff that you see popping up. The big companies like Uber and Lyft and all those are now doing in the big cities. They're doing these electronic scooters. I was just in Miami just recently, and you can literally just hop onto these electronic scooters and take them different places through the town and so forth. We're starting to see that sort of thing pop up here, and we know it's not long before you'll start to see more segways and different things like that. So, yes, like I said, it is being forced on us. So we have to adapt, and our roads have to adapt to be able to accommodate these other modes of transport. Yeah.
Okay.
So I also wanted to address the caller mentioned about the Master Ground Transportation Plan. So one of the things that when I first started the NRA, that was my role is basically long-term planning. So one of the first things that we did in 2005, we developed with the Honorable Gilbert McLean at the time the long-term road corridor plan for the island. So that was gazetted under Section 25 or 26 of the Roads Law, and that plan still remains in effect today. And we've made amendments to it over the years and so forth. So that's available on our website, www.caymanroads.com. And you can actually look for, I think it's long-term road corridor plan.
It's under the planning section, and it's the long-term road corridors. Okay. We have the Section 25 and the amended Section 26 up on there.
So I remember very Honorable McLean was very adamant about what he called at the time the Central Highway, what you're driving on, what you call the East-West Arterial at this point.
Yes.
So he actually gazetted it all the way from Hearst to Moritz in East End, and you can actually view the alignment of that. And then there are other sort of roads in between that kind of on the district level, and we're really focusing on interconnectivity and of the road networks and so forth. So they're kind of like overlays to the existing road system. And a lot of these things are going to be important in the future, because when we talk about developing things like public transport and all that sort of thing, having that interconnectivity of roads is going to really help public transport, ease in and out of subdivisions, so that a bus doesn't have to drive 1 mile in and then drive 1 mile back out. They can interconnect and so forth. So yes, there is a plan, a long-term plan, and we're working. A lot of the improvements that you've seen come from that plan.
Okay. So the public then can be assured that what they see happening sometimes may be a knee-jerk reaction to things, but in most instances it's all planned.
Yes, it's actually all planned.
Yeah, yes. And just to add to that as well, too, sometimes it may seem like we're jumping around, and that really has to do sometimes with available funding, political, aspirations, as well as we enter into issues with, things with landowners and so forth.
Yes.
I mean, I won't mention any names, but we've had cases where we've been challenged on some of our road improvements and corridors and stuff. So we've had to kind of step away from that and look at other areas. So as we make improvements in some areas, then the bottleneck or tends to shift around and move around, but the public can rest assured that there is a long-term plan. In addition to that, what we've just done recently under our outgoing chairman, Mr. Donovan Ebanks, he was very instrumental in really getting the NRA to develop a traffic model So it's a long-term traffic model that really looks at road planning all the way up to like 2036 and 2040. So we're looking much further ahead. And we're able to model things like the airport development plan and the tourism plan and different things like that to really see what it's going to look like in the future.
Okay. Now, from a road construction standpoint, what can we expect to see, for instance, when the east-west arterial continues to go farther east? In terms of road development, in terms of incorporating some of the suggestions, addressing some of the concerns that we have in relation to pedestrian traffic, in relation to cyclists, in relation to other types of electric or motorized vehicles that don't necessarily require the type of licensing, but we're seeing more frequently used now by the public. Any changes in terms of the approach to road design and road construction to address those issues?
Yeah, I'll answer the first part, and then I'll let Marion, because she's excited about a project that she's working on called Complete Streets.
Okay.
But
before you answer that, we have a caller, so we can take the caller, and I apologize for interrupting you there, but we're going to take the caller first, then go to the break, and then we can respond to all of them. Caller, good morning. Welcome to For the Record.
Good morning, Mr. For the Record.
Good morning, Doc. How are you?
I'm fine. And good morning to Mr. Howard, and good morning to Mrs. Pando.
Good morning. Good morning, Mr. Maxfield.
I haven't seen you for a long time.
I
know. Mr. Howard, I have a few questions for you, but I want to make a comment first. The traffic that's coming east from Southtown Road, that you have a street, a stoplight there. Is it possible to take some part away from that large roundabout on the north side and let the traffic from Southtown come around the roundabout and go east without interruption, and then take some and then take some parts of the north side from the Hurley's the Hurley's parking lot mound there, and allow the traffic to come from the Linford Pearson Highway, cross Gunther's and go straight east as well. So you'll have 3 lanes going east in the evening. Is that possible?
Yes, sir. That's absolutely possible, and that is what we're working on at this moment in time. Starting from the some people call it the Silver Oaks roundabout, and some people call it the Kings roundabout. But the roundabout that CUC has just sponsored, just outside of Kings Sports Center, will have 3 lanes eastbound. So we will widen into Lion Center area there and along Gunther's at it's no longer, I forgot the name of it, the Cayman Contractor Store and so forth. So we'll have 3 lanes going through there. If you drive by the Grand Harbor roundabout, you will see that just this weekend we've started to add a 3rd lane on the inside of that roundabout. So what that will allow you to do is to have 3 all the way from Kings all the way through. And as you mentioned, we would build into the mound area there by in front of Grand Harbor. And what it will also do is help the traffic coming out of South Sound, so we can reduce the wait time on that metering signal that we just added.
Yes.
So traffic from South Sound will be able to come in and get on the inside of that roundabout, the inside lane, and then also just merge east along with the other 2 lanes. So so that is one of the things that we're working on at this very moment.
And as you work on that, would you say it would be prudent to put signs either on the across the road or some place in the lanes directing traffic to where they want to go? For instance, if you're going to Red Bay and Prospect, And to all those places, you're in one lane.
Yes.
And if you're going straight through to the east-west arterial highway to Savannah, you're in another lane. And if you're going towards Stratton's Houseway, you're in another lane.
Yes, sir. That's exactly one of the things that I've been pushing to do is actually put the markings in the lanes themselves. The challenge we have with that here in Cayman is that we have these really long road names. So we have like Rex Creighton Boulevard, Louise Llewellyn Way, and all that stuff. So one way to get around that is to do like they do in the UK, in other words, and actually just have the arterial numbers. So it'll be like the A1 or the A2 and so forth. But we're looking at trying to find some sort of abbreviated versions of the names of the road. So you would actually put it in the lane. So as you come around that roundabout or on approach to that roundabout, it will identify which lane you need to be in, because the lane discipline with roundabouts is so key, and that's one of the things that we're going to be talking about at the safety conference as well, is that a lot of the things that we see happening with the roundabout is people just not choosing the correct lane and staying in the correct lane, and that just leads to all sorts of problems. So yes, sir, Mr. Macfield, I totally agree with you.
Good morning from East. You remember there was a plan when I was there as a director of the Roads Authority, when you're going west, there was a plan to go through the mangroves there and come out on Fairbanks Road. You know,
yes, sir.
The road north of the South Sound Road.
Right, yeah. So that's we call that the South Sound bypass. Yes.
That's right. Why is that not a priority? Because it's to me that all of the school buses and all of the people who are taking their children to school, to the high schools, to the University College,
Walker's Road area,
all that could take that route.
Yes,
they could go through there. They could all come out on Fairbanks Road, go to the different schools, and they would not have to go through the Pearson Highway to clog up the traffic going into Georgetown. Why is not that possible?
Yes, it is possible, and I think we're getting very close. So I would say it's sort of a medium-term priority. We're getting very close to actually having to develop that road based on a lot of what we're seeing in South Sound in terms of development, pipeline development, we would call it. As you know, from your time on the NRA board, we actually get to see in advance a lot of the development that's coming.
Proposed.
So we know well in advance how the island's going to develop and what people are planning, and then we work with developers as well. So I can tell you this morning that that's one of those that we're going to have to really sort of move up the priority list because we can see the need for that in the very near future.
Okay, Doc, I want to thank you very much. We're going past our commercial break, but thanks for all those questions, and we hope and trust that Mr. Howard and Ms. Pandu have responded to your concerns and your questions. Folks, please stay tuned for the record. We'll be back shortly.
I'm starting my shopping early this year. What you want for Christmas?
All I really want for Christmas is for my packages to arrive on time.
Plan ahead to get your shipments into Seaboard Marine on time and avoid the holiday rush. Check out their great less-than-container shipment rates. Seaboard saves you time, money, and convenience with consolidation and repacking options available. Take a load off Santa this holiday season. Shop, ship, and save on your small packages with Seaboard Marine. Give us a call at 949-4977 or visit seaboardmarine.com/grand-cayman for quotes or additional details.
Shipping shore to shore, Seaboard.
Sometimes having a middleman is not a bad thing, especially when it comes to insurance. Do you know that when it comes to cost, ease, speed, and peace of mind, insurance brokers ranked higher than when customers buy direct? So, for all your insurance needs, call Fidelity Insurance. We're the middleman you want. Call us today at 949-7822. Fidelity. We're good for you.
Congratulations, I hear the family is expanding.
Yes, our family is growing bigger, but I don't know how we're going to get around. Our old car just doesn't have enough room.
You should head over to Vamp Motors and ask about the Toyota Rush. It's a 7-seater SUV with lots of room and safety features, and it's on sale for just $21,900.
Rush in to Vamp Motors for the best deal of the year on the Toyota Rush SUV. Save up to $2,600 with Vamp cashback and the Toyota factory rebate going on right now. Fuel efficient, stylish, roomy, and loaded with safety features. The Rush is the perfect SUV for you and your family, starting from just $21,900. Visit Vamp Motors and drive your deal home today while stock lasts.
Hi, it's me, your teenager. So I did an anonymous drug survey at school in 2018. The results revealed that a 13-year-old is likely to try vaping for the first time. And it showed that 3 in every 10 teens have already tried vaping at least once in their lifetime. Over the 3,000 teens that took the survey, 76.3% said that their parents have had the conversation with them about drugs and alcohol. Anyways, I was watching a commercial and this really cute guy said that vaping is much safer than smoking. And he used a vape that looks like a USB and has no smoke. It was so cool.
Contact the National Drug Council and learn about the Parents as Preventers training. This message was brought to you by the National Drug Council and Radio Cayman.
For the record, with Orrett Connor.
Initiating system. For information that matters. For the record, with Orrett Connor. Continues right now on Radio Cayman.
Good morning and welcome back to For the Record. We're discussing the Road Safety Conference taking place here in the Cayman Islands at the Ritz-Carlton Hotel on the 29th of October to the 1st of November. That discussion is taking place with the Director of the National Roads Authority, Mr. Edward Howard, Managing Director, and the Transportation Planner, Ms. Marian Pandohi. We're actually gone beyond discussing the conference and probably talking about some of the issues and the topics that will be discussed there as well. So we're having our own road safety conference right here on For the Record this morning. Before I interrupted you to take the call, Mr. Howard, you were going to speak about the East-West Arterial and what is proposed to be done there.
Yeah, so the East-West Arterial is as I said, it extends all the way from essentially Hearst Road and will terminate just about where Moritz Tortuga is in East End. That's the extent of it. We will build that out in phases, obviously, and then one of the first, the next phases that we want to do with that is by 2021. No later than 2021, we want to be able to get from Hearst Road all the way to Lookout Gardens, which is just, if you're not familiar with Lookout, maybe Belford or where the Bordentown Police Station is in that area. Yeah, so it will help a lot of those subdivisions in that area from Belford, Lookout, northward, Wilty, and all those. They will be able to access that road rather than coming on to the original Shamrock Road, which we would kind of reserve for the folks in North Side and East End. Part of the traffic problem we're having now in the mornings is that the people traveling from North Side and East End are getting stuck because they're running into these other folks that are coming on. We're all sharing, and I broached that to someone the other day. I said, do you realize that there's only one lane all the way from North Side to about Spots Newlands? So all of these, and we all know that Bordentown and Savannah is the fastest growing district. So as they grow, they only have that one lane, and then the folks from North Side and East End are having to compete with them. So if they're coming out, and so we found that some of them are coming out earlier now because of changes in school times and what have you. So now quality of life for the folks in North Side and East End has gotten worse because now they have to leave even earlier. Right, to try to avoid the Bordentown, Savannah folks who are
getting home later too.
Absolutely. So in terms of design of the East-West, we have increased the width of that road essentially to 160 foot. Is a 160-foot corridor. And we get asked a lot of times, why did we do that? Well, because this road is essentially our last chance, in terms of development. of highways and stuff like that. So we are going to include in that, we will have a bicycle lane. It's a 5-foot bicycle lane. And we will also have an 8-foot shoulder in there as well that can be used as a breakdown shoulder for vehicles and also a walking path for pedestrians as well. That will be built on the extremities of the corridor. And then we will also then do the one travel lane east and west as we have on the current east-west. And then we will then also have that large swale in the middle, a grass swale, which when we do need the additional lanes in the future, hopefully not anytime soon, but when we do need that, we will have the ability then to build inwards. And so we won't be having to go back to acquire additional lands. Right. Because that's been one of the issues I told you that's facing us, is that we improper planning and so forth, and we sell ourselves short on the width of our corridors, and then later on we have to go back and then acquire land from folks. So we won't have to do that in this case with the east-west arterial.
Okay, we're going to take our final call for the morning. Caller, good morning. Welcome to For the Record.
Good morning, Mr. Orrett Connor.
Good morning, sir.
And good morning to you guys.
Good morning, sir. How are you?
Speaking of road safety, by the Seafire Hotel.
Oh, yes.
when people have to catch the bus, especially our visitors, they have to cross 2 roads. Traffic going in west, traffic coming into town, and it's very dangerous. There needs to be a pedestrian crossing there, like the Westin Hotel.
Yeah, absolutely.
Thank you very much.
Yeah.
Thank you, caller.
I'm glad he brought that up, because that's actually one of the 2 areas that are foremost on my mind, and we've been getting a lot of feedback from persons on the other area. So the area in front of the Kimpton or Seafire, as well as the area in front of Grand Harbor, Hurley's.
Yes.
Because like the Kimpton Seafire, we are also going, like I mentioned earlier, we're going to expand that roadway to 6 lanes. I've personally witnessed, people like, a lot of close calls with, buses having to drop folks and people walking across, even cyclists and so forth. So, again, it goes back to this whole creating this balance between being able to move large volumes of vehicles and then also being able to cater for other road users. So, we've had any number of suggestions like doing pedestrian bridges, pedestrian overpasses, and so forth. Or even like the caller suggested, doing an actual stoplight. Now, the actual stoplight, of course, is the easiest and cheapest to implement, but of course it will have its naysayers. It will have its objectors, and so that's one of the things that we're going to seriously consider in the next couple of months or so. As well as you'd probably see now, we're starting to put pedestrian crossings at roundabouts and so forth, like we did with the CNB roundabout as a trial. We're getting a lot of, we're getting a lot of people asking for that sort of thing at roundabout. Yeah, it's the reaction is mixed. But again, we're trying to shift the culture.
Yes.
So people and drivers enough to respect the fact that there are people who cycle and there are people who walk, and
and when you have to take all of those actors into consideration, it becomes quite challenging. Quite challenging.
So you can imagine now, we just talked about all the folks in East End and North Side who are struggling to get to work in the mornings and stuff. And then we introduce a stoplight in front of Hurley's or something, just 100 yards from the roundabout. And a pedestrian can push the button at any time he wants and stop the traffic in both directions, that sort of thing, because the median there is so narrow. It's about 4 feet. So if someone wanted to cross there and you put a stoplight, then every time that they press the stoplight, then we would stop traffic in both directions. And those are some of the unpopular type of decisions that we'll probably have to make, trying to appease one type of road user and maybe tick off another.
Yeah. But, while we have you at the table, I'm not sure whether you want to take the opportunity to also talk about the Hurley's Grand Harbor roundabout, the new procedures that will be implemented starting today in relation to traffic coming from South Sound and their ability to enter Hurley's.
Okay. I won't say much about it other than we have been obviously in concert with the RCIPS. they've been trying to. So what we did was we approached the problem twofold. So as of September of this year, we've noticed, again, like I said, because of certain external factors, traffic congestion has increased dramatically for those folks from the east, coming from the eastern districts. So what we decided to do was, prior to us, or kind of in concert with us, implementing some quick win strategies, what we call quick win strategies, which you'll see our crews are working at about 4 or 5 different areas within the Red Bay Prospect area simultaneously. We're trying to get that done as quickly as possible so that we can, bring some relief to the RCIPS, who's really doing a good job in terms of trying to help ease the traffic congestion and get folks, especially in the Prospect and Red Bay area, to work earlier. Because like I said, they're getting stuck within their own subdivision. So the goal right now is to try to relieve them in the mornings. And then they're also trying some strategies as well for the evening as well to try to get the traffic flowing eastbound in the afternoons as well. As most people would know who travel that direction, once you pass the Hurley's roundabout, it's kind of free flow. It's kind of free flow. And that's really because 40% of all of the traffic heading eastbound, they end their journeys at the Prospect Red Bay area. So once they pass that, then it's it's only just the bottom town and the east end folks that are left to get home. So we're gonna observe it and give our feedback to the police as well as they try these different types of strategies and see what works and what doesn't work.
Okay. One of our listeners has expressed some concern about the Smith Road roundabout by Pasadora Place and Dr. Foley's office.
Right.
The person says that they think that particular roundabout there should not have been done as the hospital four-way is. That it should have been done the way that the hospital four-way is. They say that I drive that road quite often and have seen quite a few times that someone almost had an accident, and I myself have had a narrow escape a couple of times at that little roundabout there, and they feel that maybe it should be a four-way stop similar to what is at the hospital road.
Yeah, and again, that's the sort of stuff that the feedback that we like to hear, because then we can reassess, we can review it and see. So we'll have a look at that, certainly. It's not the first time I've heard that. I've heard persons complain about sort of near misses there and so forth. So we could look and see maybe is the roundabout designed appropriately, or does it have, we can really sort of look at it again, or like you said, we can assess whether it would be better off as a four-way stop and so forth.
Sometimes people don't use it, obviously
properly,
use it properly,
Yes,
and they
of
use
course.
it, they kind of use it where you first come, first go, which is actually not correct. Yes, it's a roundabout.
Okay, we're going to take our last commercial break. When we return, we're going to switch gears, go back to the conference and talk about that. Remind people whether or not the public can attend as well, and the takeaways from that conference. What happens after that as well. So we've closed off the phone lines for the remainder of the show, folks. Please stay tuned. For the record, we'll be back shortly.
Congratulations, I hear the family is expanding.
Yes, our family is growing bigger, but I don't know how we're going to get around. Our old car just doesn't have enough room.
You should head over to Vamp Motors and ask about the Toyota Rush. It's a 7-seater SUV with lots of room and safety features, and it's on sale for just $21,900.
Rush in to Vamp Motors for the best deal of the year on the Toyota Rush SUV. Save up to $2,600 with Vamp cashback and the Toyota factory rebate going on right now. Fuel efficient, stylish, roomy, and loaded with safety features. The Rush is the perfect SUV for you and your family, starting from just $21,900. Visit Vamp Motors and drive your deal home today while stock lasts.
Saturday, November 30, just before Christmas. You, yes, you can be the grand prize winner of $40,000 with your Rotary Central Music Extravaganza ticket purchase of only $25. Win that grand prize of $40,000. Second prize of $4,000, 6 $1,000 prizes, and more. Yes, Saturday, November 30, the 24th Rotary Central Music Extravaganza, Royal Palms, West Bay Road from 7 p.m. Music by Sugar Daddy, C&B, Leslie Duran, and Trio Caribe. Get your golden tickets now on sale through Rotary Central members, Rotary ticket sellers, and eventpro.ky. Every ticket funds a cause. Rotary Central, 50 community projects over 33 years. Your ticket can be the winner. Your ticket, your chance, your community. Rotary, connecting the world.
The government claims the cruise berthing facility won't cost us a penny. It will be paid for by the cruise passenger who use it, not by our people or our government.
The fact is, you will be paying.
Because government is going to give the consortium development team, led by Royal Caribbean and Carnival, a portion of the cruise revenue that is currently being banked by government.
What's more, we will be repaying them
$450 million.
$250 million more
than what the facility even costs.
It's your vote, your future.
So make a decision based on fact.
You deserve the whole truth.
Are you one of the pensioners on island at risk of having their monthly payments stopped? The Public Service Pension Boards would like to remind its pensioners that their annual pension continuation certificates, PCCCs, have been distributed through the mail. To ensure continuity of benefits, please return your PCCC by December 31st, 2019. If you have not received your PCCC form, please stop by the Public Service Pension Board's Grand Cayman office, located on the first floor of the Government Administration Building, or the Cayman BRAC office, located at number 5 Dennis Foster Road, to address this matter. If you are a shut-in or have care or control over a pensioner who is unable to be transported to the Public Service Pension Board office, please call the Cayman office at 945-8175 or the Cayman BRAC office at 948-2544 for special assistance.
For the record, with Orrett Connor.
Initiating system.
For information that matters. For the record, with Orrett Connor. Continues right now on Radio Cayman.
Good morning and welcome back to For the Record. We're discussing the Road Safety Conference that's taking place here in the Cayman Islands at the Ritz-Carlton Hotel on October the 29th. That is tomorrow, October the 29th to November 1st. The conference, it's an important event that will bring road safety stakeholders together, particularly those who contribute to road safety engineering, education, enforcement, emergency management. The event, it's open to the public, all government departments, and other stakeholders and organizations. And if you're interested, contact 946-7780 or 325-6002 or email sheena.ebanks@nra.ky. Is all that information there correct?
That's correct.
Okay. And we have, again, if for the benefit of our listening and viewing audience, if you can speak to some of the participants at the conference, again, mention the keynote speaker, and then tell our audience after the conference is over, what are the next steps?
Mm-hmm. Well, certainly one of the things that we want to achieve with the conference is obviously to inform and to equip and empower all of the stakeholders. And when I say stakeholders, that's not just NRA or RCIPS, and that's everybody, because road safety is everyone's concern. So we want everyone to have a better understanding of road safety, especially from the standpoint of what we call the 5 E's, and you mentioned those earlier: education, enforcement, engineering. So the conference will be centered around those E's, and so each day we'll be talking about some of the different things, and we can get into that a little bit if we want. But I also want to have people to have a greater appreciation and understanding for reducing road fatalities. Like I said, eight a year, and serious injuries is around 25 to 30 a year, which is a lot for Cayman. We want to obviously see the establishment of a national road safety strategy, and that's one of the reasons we have our keynote speaker who will help us to guide us through workshops and help us and show us how to do that. And one of my personal things is want to be able to see the reestablishment of road safety advocacy groups. Now, you remember in the past we've had those, and we had groups like MatSafe, we had SEERSAC, and then we had Street Skills, and all those have kind of just gone by the wayside. So we really hope that the momentum gained from this conference will, to try to get both the private sector and the government sector to try to reestablish these road safety advocacy groups. And the other one for me, I guess, lastly, is I really want to see a return of kind of road safety education curriculum in the schools, because I can remember myself growing up learning a green cross code and stop, look, listen, and think, these type of things that kind of, things that you learn from an early age, how to cross the road properly, how to ride your bike properly, these types of things. So all those are help to try to ingrain in the youth, our youth especially, about, road safety and rules of the road and so forth. So those are some of the things that, me from a personal standpoint, I want to see get out of this conference and move forward with those initiatives.
Okay, Spandori?
I'm just going to reiterate mostly what Edward just said, because we just really want to work on those 5 E's and around the National Road Safety Strategy, and maybe come out of the conference with some type of layout in terms of the strategy and how we're going to move forward, and to bring back, because we had brought it up last conference in terms of those advocacy groups and street skills that I was a part of, and the police were part of, and it was a nice education campaign, and to bring that back into the schools as well. But we just really need to, within the conference, we're also going to talk about, we did a road safety audit a couple years back, and we need the incorporation of the engineering and the education together within this strategy is very important. That's what I want to see come out of the conference itself.
Yep.
Excellent. Well, I want to wish you all the best in your endeavors. And very quickly, if people are still interested in attending, there's still an opportunity at this point in time for them to, and we've given those contact details out in terms of their interest. Any costs associated in terms of participating?
No, it's a free conference, and lunch is included.
You don't get too many.
No, but we are going to be cutting it off very soon. So if you are interested, email very, very quickly.
Excellent. Okay, folks. Again, thank you very much, for being here, and all the best in your endeavors. For our listening and viewing audience, the person did send a question in inquiring whether or not dengue can be passed on or transmitted through animals, especially animals that are kept in the yard. And we are advised that the only animals known to be affected when bitten by a mosquito, which is infected with dengue fever, are monkeys. Those are the only ones known to be susceptible to the disease, monkeys. So if you have a dog or any other animals, it does not appear as if they can be infected with the disease. Folks, I want to thank you for allowing Radio Cayman, and by extension For the Record, into your homes, into your vehicles as you traverse the busy roads of the Cayman Islands, into your places of work, whether it be an office cubicle or if you're working in the outdoors. I also want to remind you that we are our brothers and our sisters' keepers. There is always someone out there who's less fortunate than we are, and I ask you to extend a helping hand to them. If you can't do that, then I suggest you donate to a worthy charity, because we always want to consider those who need, not necessarily those who want or even those who crave. I say to you, have a great day. Continue to support your radio station, Radio Cayman. Join Sterling Dwayne Banks at 12:15 for Talk Today. And as usual, we ask the good Lord to bless these 3 beautiful, wonderful Cayman Islands.
For the Record is brought to you by Vamped Motors, the only authorized Ford and Toyota dealership serving the Cayman Islands. Cayman Pharmacy Group, with a location in West Bay and professional pharmacy at CTMH Doctors Hospital. The Cayman Pharmacy Group has a location for you just around the corner. Seaboard Marine. With over 35 shipping ports, find your shipping solution by calling 949-4977 or visit seaboardmarine.com for competitive rates. Rotary Central. For more than 110 years, Rotary members have used their passion, energy, and intelligence to take action on sustainable projects. Fidelity Bank. For all your banking needs, visit fidelitygroup.com. Fidelity. We're good for you. And Roper's Janitorial. Complete janitorial service for commercial, industrial, and residential. They get the job done right every time.
Today's biggest news.
Radio K-Man.
It's only 2 species that we have here on Iowa.
Generations present.
Your voice, your choice. For today's biggest news.
Access to information. Local, regional, international. This is headlines from Radio K-Man's newsroom team.
Today's biggest news.
Breast Cancer Awareness Month activities continue today. As part of Breast Cancer Awareness Month, you're invited to the North Side Clinic, which is taking place today, this hour, until noon. Californian Governor Gavin Newsom has declared a statewide emergency as wildfires, whipped up by fierce winds, continue to sweep through the area. Some 180,000 people have been ordered to leave homes, with roads around Santa Rosa north of San Francisco packed with cars as people try to flee. Tens of thousands of homes are under threat from the wildfires. The biggest blackouts in the state's history have already left